Okay. Okay. So, awesome. So we're going to be writing a Chrome extension. Oh, what was that? And the main thing about a Chrome extension, we're both starting from scratch, by the way. The only thing I have in my repository is this README file that you could see here. So we're both starting from scratch. The main thing that you should know about Chrome extensions is that there are multiple types of Chrome extensions. There are Chrome extensions that you can use to manipulate the JavaScript directly on the page. For example, if any of you have used AdBlock or like a Better Gmail, those are both Chrome extensions that directly manipulate the HTML on the page. AdBlock takes the HTML and then removes all the ads. Better Gmail takes the HTML that is on Gmail's page and prettifies it and makes it look a lot nicer. There's also Chrome extensions that are little pop-ups. For example, there's a Facebook Chrome extension that, like, whenever you click on a button, I can actually install these for you right now.
Jeff, can you speak a little bit about what people on Windows should be doing for all these installations, like NPM?
Can they CMD it? Is there? Can they go?
Yeah, if you go to the command line, you can see NPM install for all of them.
Yeah, could you go to command line, start CMD, push the start button, CMD, and NPM install. Space, copy. Gotcha, go. Okay, so this is the Chrome Web Store, and you can see all the different extensions here. We're going to download a Facebook one just to show you the different types and the type that we're actually going to make. So this what does this do? No, that's the wrong one. Nope. Right here. Alright, so we just installed this Facebook extension, and this Facebook extension has a little pop-up window, and that's what we're going to be building. We're going to be building a little pop-up window that just displays to-do lists. That it's just going to be a simple to-do list app. Because when you start off with any new language, new framework, you want to build a to-do list app. That's the thing to do. Are you new?
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you have Node installed? Awesome. You're pretty much right on time. Okay. So this Chrome extension is apparently a piece of shit, but ours will be a bit better. Our Chrome extension will pretty much be this to-do list app right here. Just like enter to-do lists. And you can check them off, you can remove them, you can do whatever you want with them. Okay. So, since you're new, please navigate to my GitHub, github.com/Geoffrey323, the URL's up there. And then the project is Todoist Tech Talk, and just install the packages that you see here. You have already installed Node, and now you can easily install CoffeeScript and handlebars. Okay. Now let's create the first file we're ever going to create. So first, create a directory for the project. So I called my directory to-do. You can see it here. So there's 3 directories. I called mine to-do. So you can go to your file browser, click new directory, create a to-do directory. You CD into the to-do directory, and then you create a file. I just have a README right now, but we're going to create a file called manifest.json. Manifest.json. Touch is just the command that creates a file, an empty text file. So manifest.json is the file that specifies what you need, what you're gonna have in your Chrome extension. Like whenever you go to your extensions right here, all of this, the name of this application, the icon, the version number, this description, all of that is specified in the manifest.json. And that is all you ever need for a Chrome extension. So when they said it was a Chrome extension talk, they were actually lying. It's actually more a CoffeeScript and Backbone.js talk. But we'll get to that later. So we're going to just create a manifest.json file in your directory. Might as well be an empty directory. And then we're going to open it. I'm going to be using Vim. You can be using whatever text editor you want. It's an empty file. You could use Notepad++, Emacs, Eclipse. No, not really. It's going to be a small project. You can use Notepad. I've actually written code in Notepad. It was pretty fun. No, not really. Okay, so this is a JSON file, a JSON object. All manifest.json is one large JSON object. And what we're going to specify first is the manifest version that we're using. So we're going to be using, I can't spell right now, manifest version 2. Because Chrome recently came out with, since Chrome 20, they came out with a new manifest version that was more strict, and because the reason it was more strict is to enforce better security. Because before you could pull JavaScript from any page anywhere, now you can only pull JavaScript from within your Chrome extension. What's up? Make it bigger? Awesome. Is that bigger? No. Is that better? Can you see? You can see, can she see? Can Sajid see? Can you see without squinting? Okay, well, I'll try up it a bit more. Wait up. I'm not good with Macs. Huh? Better? Awesome. Can you see Stephanie? Good. So we specified a manifest version. Awesome. Now let's specify a name for our application. We're just going to call it to do. Jesus Christ. To do. Let's specify a version. It's going to be 0.1. Make sure you put commas after each of these, or else Chrome will complain. And we won't have anything going. Let's give it a description. What description do you guys want to give this Chrome extension? Come on, description. Sebastian. A to-do list. That's deep. That's deep. Okay. To-do list. Okay. So now is where we specify things specific to our Chrome extension. So they're going to be called default actions. And default actions is what happens when the person clicks on your app, what shows up. So this annoying pop-up shows up when you click on the Facebook extension, and when you click on other extensions, other things pop up. They can have different icons. Like the icons that you specify up here are specified within the default action. It may be actions. We'll figure it out. Okay, so the thing you want to specify is default pop-up. And our default pop-up is going to be an HTML page called todo.html that we will create later, or in a second now. And todo.html, thing about Chrome extensions is that they're pretty much just tiny web pages. That's how you can think of them, or at least the pop-up kind. The tiny web pages that just render this todo.html. And it's awesome because Chrome's rendering engine is very fast, so they're really fast, really small web pages that don't have a backend. We could specify default title. It would just be to do. Do we want an icon? Do we want an icon?
Yes.
Yes. Oh yeah, every app needs an icon. The default icon looks something, actually there, I can't show you later. Default icon, we're going to create a folder called images and put todo.png in there. We haven't created this. I'll be getting it from the web, probably using wget, because I don't want to go to a page, click Control S, navigate to my directory, yada yada. So default icon. So now we close this JSON object. Make sure you're closing things right. Make sure you have all your commas in the right place, more or less. And that's pretty much our JSON, manifest.json. There might be a couple typos in here. If they are, Chrome will complain and we'll fix them as we go along. I'm going to be pushing this up on GitHub, and as some of you have seen, my project is up on /efim323, and then it's going to be the to-do list tech talk project. Okay, so Git.
By the way, if anyone is ever confused or falls behind, AI are here to help you catch up. So we don't want anyone to get behind and then just be behind the whole time. So feel free to raise your hand if you're stuck or something's not working the way it is for Jen.
Yep, and you can just raise your hand and I'd be glad to. Oh, that didn't work. Why did pushing not work? Oh. We need to add it. Okay, now it's up on GitHub. Okay. Now we're going to create the to-do.html that we talked about in our manifest.json. So the way to do that is you just create an empty text file called to-do.html. And there it is. Now we're going to go and look for a pretty icon. And it's like my favorite part of the entire tech talk. No, not really. So let's make the images directory. That's where we said our icon will be. The images directory, img, short for images. You could have named it images. In case you missed something, the to-do.html is an empty text file. There's nothing in it. We just created it. So in the images directory, let's Google to-do list PNG. Go to images, icon or something, I don't know. Which one do you guys like? Ooh. Huh? Is that solid icon? Alright, so we can't publish this to the Chrome Web Store because we stole their icon. But if you remove the icon and create your own icon, you'll be able to publish this to the Chrome Web Store after we're done. Although like 20 copies of the same extension might not fly. Anyway, so let's save this icon. What you would want to do is like Control S, navigate to the directory, like yada yada, projects, whatever. What I'm going to do instead is take this URL, in case you guys don't know how to use wget. First I should cd into the images directory. And I wget, and then I just wget the URL. And there it is, note task icon.png. Wget is amazing. Questions? Wget? No? Okay. I'm actually going to rename this file because we named it to-do.png. And the rename command is mv, in case anyone's interested. Or you could have just hit Control S and then navigated to the directory that you saved your project in. And saved it as to-do.png. So now the full path of the image is img/to-do.png. Are you here for the talk? Weren't you with Patrick Leahy? What's your name? I know you. Justin. Awesome. You know Node and stuff.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Have you developed Windows on Node? No?
No, not at all.
Okay. Yeah, these guys are doing it. Like that's the real challenge right here. These guys are doing it. How's it going? Okay. So now is the fun part. Now we get to test whether our extension actually does anything. Now we're going to switch into developer mode. So open up your Chrome extensions console. You either do that by hitting the menu, going to tools, hitting extensions, or you can just type in the URL right here. Usually the simpler way is to just hit extensions. So if you were to navigate to the extension menu, it would look something like this, except you'd probably have more extensions because Ayaka is only like 2, one of which I installed. You should probably all get AdBlock. No, I'm just kidding. AdBlock steals revenue from websites. Anyway, so what we want to do now is enable developer mode. This button right here, very top right, you want to click it, And wow, options pop up. So what we're going to do is we're going to load our extension into Chrome. So we hit to do, and we hit this directory, we hit select, and oh, unrecognized manifest key. So that means we have a typo somewhere. So now the way to fix this typo is probably to just Google the error. Default actions, manifest Chrome. So here are the manifest files. Oh, instead of default action, I'm pretty sure it's browser action. Yeah, we were using the wrong name. It's browser action instead of default action. I'm sorry, I've misled you. Yeah, and there's default title, default pop-up. Okay. So now we should edit our manifest.json file. Oop, I'm in the wrong directory. Manifest.json and make it browser action instead of default action. Oh, I can't spell. So we just changed this. We just changed browser action. Default action to browser action. We save this file, and then we try to reload the extension, and it worked. And look, we have our extension right here. And it says to do, and its version number is 0.1, and it has a description that was very creative by Sajid. Thank you. And round of applause. No. And when we click on this extension, our to-do.html should pop up. And what do you know? It does. Because our to-do.html is empty right now. As should all of yours be. Great, great. So there we go. That was the Chrome extension part of the Tech Talk. Now we're going to go into the CoffeeScript part of the Tech Talk. Who doesn't have a little extension popped up right here with a pretty icon and like the glistening check marks? Stephanie's partner, what's up? Does your manifest that .json look anything like this? It does? Awesome. What? Huh? You load unpacked extension. Yep. And then you navigate to the folder or whatever it is. And make sure you have all these files. If you don't have image.todo.png or todo.html, it will say unable to detect file or cannot find file. In that case, you should create both of them. You can use any icon you want. You could probably even exclude the default icon if you don't want to look for one. I don't know the gift. In there, that's something else you specify in the manifest. Yeah, you can just look up manifest.json files. It's not very interesting. But that's all Chrome extension is. It's just manifest.json. That tells it what to do, what it can do, what it can't do, what it uses icons, what it shouldn't use icons. So if you were really curious, you can just look up manifest files and it'll show you everything. Like with that page that I googled up, that had like all the different things you can stick in there. Awesome. Is everyone on this page? We're going to go into CoffeeScript now. Stephanie's partner, did you load your unpacked extension? Great. We're all developers now. Developer mode. Okay. So if you go to coffeescript.org, there's there's a link to coffeescript.org right here. This links you to coffeescript.org if you don't want to exit my GitHub. But if you go to coffeescript.org, CoffeeScript is just a little language that compiles into JavaScript, as I was telling you before. And all it is just prettier syntax for JavaScript. So on the left here, it shows you what CoffeeScript syntax is. And on the right, it shows you what the equivalent JavaScript is. So if you know anything about JavaScript, you need to initialize all your variables with var, or else they become global, or else their scope becomes really skewed, and you don't know what's what, you don't know where anything is. You expose all your code to your clients, which you do anyway. However, in CoffeeScript, you don't need var. because your variables are automatically contained, they're automatically prepended with a var, and life is handy dandy. You just declare variables by saying number equals 42, opposite equals true. Okay, so now since all of you have installed CoffeeScript, I hope if you haven't, you would want to run sudo npm install CoffeeScript-g. How do I make this big text in the Alfred? Does anyone know Alfred? Pulak, you know Alfred? How do I make it big text? Do you know? Alfred big text. Anyway, so if we all installed CoffeeScript, I take it. Awesome. Okay. So now we're going to play around with CoffeeScript a bit in the CoffeeScript console. So what you want to do is just type in coffee. That takes you to the CoffeeScript console. And here's where you get to play around with cool CoffeeScript stuff. So first thing I want to do is just print text, and it evaluates the text. Let's create a variable called number and say 42 in there. And if we want to print out number, just number. It's very, very basic stuff. It's just another language, and they have a nice console for it. And you can do all crazy stuff with it. So the main things that you should note about CoffeeScript is the function syntax that we're going to be using. So if you look here, right here, functions, this function syntax is equivalent to this JavaScript syntax. So this is how you declare functions in CoffeeScript, right here. So I'm going to actually do that same thing in the console. So square, wait up. Oh, I completely forgot the syntax. And then that evaluates to x times x. Right? So now we have a function called square. Let's call square on things. Let's call square on number. That should square 42. And I guess the square of 42 is 1,764. You can Wolfram Alpha that, or you can just believe me. You can also square 12. You can square 1.4, you can square 1.5, you can square 1. That's JavaScript function syntax. Now let's write a bit more involved function that checks whether a string that we pass in is length 1 or length 2, or just print out whatever the length of the string is or something. So let's call this println, and this is going to be a function that takes a string. Oh, that was bad. And then it should just return string.len. And if we print the length of hello, it should give us 5. If we print the length of whatever, it should give us 10. And that's just the length of the string. And CoffeeScript is just a nice language because it simplifies a lot of the syntax and makes it a bit less verbose. So we don't have to type out the word function every time. We just use this, the arrow and the parentheses, as you can see. So like in the println function that we wrote, this was the argument that it took in, string, and this was the return. JavaScript has implicit return statements. So like this would be the same exact thing. We just return string.length, and it's the same idea. Okay. Let's look a bit more. Also, another thing you may have noticed about CoffeeScript is that if you had been looking at the page, is that you don't need parentheses in when you're calling a function. You can simply give the function name, put a space, and then pass the arguments separated by comma. So let's try that with println. So if we want to println and then my name, all we do is just println Geoffrey, and Geoffrey is 8 characters long, and you don't need parentheses. So you may see me doing something like this. You may see me doing something like element.html, and then like argument here, and then like comma, second argument, comma, and what that is just that wrapped in parentheses. This is not a function yet because we haven't defined it, but you get the point. So it would be like that, except I would not put the parentheses. Unless you specifically need them in order to like indicate PEMDAS, indicate order of operations. right? So if we want to run the square function again with 12, we can just don't pass any parentheses. And now let's create something that multiplies two numbers per se to show how we can take in two arguments. So it'll be something like multiply equals x comma y, and it would just return x times y. So now we have a new function that we can play around with, 12 times 10, or we can call it 12 times 10, and it would be the same exact thing. What's up? It's not in your file.
So I mean, I just
You know why? It's because check your dash. So that's here you want to have Okay. Does everyone have the CoffeeScript console up and running and displaying pretty numbers? Right? So there's your functions. There's your function syntax. Just keep in mind, this is a function syntax. Okay? Also, another thing about CoffeeScript that's really nice is the object syntax. The way to create hashes. The way to create JavaScript objects. So what you would do, what you would normally do in JavaScript is like you want to do hash equals key and then value, right? And then you have like hash.key, gives you whatever, right? But in CoffeeScript, you can more or less abandon the braces. You only need braces in certain instances, but not the way that we're going to be writing it. So let's create a new hash, hash2 equals, oh, why does it, let's try it this way, key, oh, value, And there it is. We don't need any fancy braces. We don't need, all we need is just the name of the key, followed by a colon, followed by the value. And the way to do multiple is separate them by commas, key 2, value 2, and then you can do hash 2, that key 2, and that's how you would do it. Okay, so keep in mind that most of the time I'm not going to be writing the brace unless I absolutely need to, or unless I just want to make it clear that what we're dealing with is a hash, an object. Okay. And if you have any questions about like what's what is this coffee script, or is this me just making a dumb error, ask me, raise your hand. The thing about CoffeeScript, we don't need any, we don't need parentheses really, we don't need braces, so you might like end up with some really weird indented code, but the indents matter because that's the only way CoffeeScript is able to tell like what's going on, because CoffeeScript is white space sensitive, so make sure you're using 2 spaces or tabs or whatever you're using, make sure it's consistent. Make sure your if blocks are well indented. Make sure your indenting is right, or else your code will just not compile. Okay? So now we're going to go out and grab all the JavaScript libraries that we need for this project and pretty much that exist in the world. So the first library that we're going to get is jQuery. Do any of you know what jQuery is? Please, Jesus. Save me. jQuery, yeah, what's jQuery? It's a JavaScript library. What is a JavaScript library? Awesome, it's a set of functions that we can use that make our code better. Right, awesome, that's exactly what jQuery is. jQuery allows you to manipulate the DOM. Do you know what the DOM is? The DOM is the document object model. It's pretty much the web page itself. Like whenever you load the web page, the HTML is part of it's just the DOM. Like what you see on the page is the document, and we call that the DOM. So jQuery allows you to manipulate the DOM, play with all these, all the elements on the page, play with like the header, play with the footer, the sections, everything. Okay, so we're gonna download jQuery. First, let's create folders to download our stuff. So let's create a js/lib folder. So the way you quit out of CoffeeScript is Control-D, or you can reboot your computer. I hope you guys are having fun. Anyway, so you want to make this js/lib directory. The cool thing about make dir is if you pass -p, you can just like specify as many dirs that you want, and it just like, keeps going. Because usually it won't create a directory unless the previous directory existed. So like our JS directory did not exist before. Since you passed -p, it created the JS directory and then it created the /lib directory. See that? So now we created 2 directories with 1 make dir command. Yeah. So like for example, if you want to create more stuff, it would throw an error because it would say no such file directory because the previous one did not exist. Okay. Let's make sure I didn't screw things up. Okay. Now we're going to download jQuery. The way to download jQuery is you open up your web browser. You open a new tab. You type in jQuery.com, or you can Google jQuery, whichever feels easier. You hit this big download button. And here you can either hit, this is all of jQuery. jQuery is pretty big. You can hit Control-S to pop up the save menu, then navigate to like projects, to do, JS, lib, and put it into the libraries directory right here, and click save. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use wget again, so I'm going to take the URL, I'm going to cd into jslib, I'm going to wget this file, and there it is, with minimal effort. Wgetting is a lot easier than navigating a file tree. So if you guys want to, if you guys just go to jQuery.com, you can download the file and then save it. So what we're going to want to save it as is just jQuery, just to keep our naming simple. So just jQuery, right? So I just renamed the jQuery-18 whatever .2 .min.js into jQuery. Now I have a file called jQuery. Okay. Now we're going to want to download a second JavaScript library called _JS. If you go to _js.org, does anyone know what underscore is? Huh? Other than a key on your keyboard. Aha. _JS. Can someone guess what it is? You, who knew the definition of libraries. It's another JavaScript library. Great. What does this one do? I'll tell you. It gives you awesome functions that you can perform on JavaScript objects and on JavaScript in general. For example, JavaScript doesn't have a good map function. You can't map over an array performing whatever operation you want. So underscore gives you map right here. Underscore gives you dot first, so you can get the first element of an array like this. It gives you a lot of nice functions that make it easier to write JavaScript. _JS is just like a huge compilation of all these functions that are simply make it much friendlier to work with JavaScript. For example, this keys method, all it does is retrieves all the names of the object's properties. So like if you run it on 1, 2, 3, the keys are 1, 2, 3. So if you run keys on whatever, it'll spit out the keys. You can also do .values. You can also do .pairs. It's just a friendly, nice library. So what you want to do is you go to _js.org. There's a downloads link. We want the production version because it's a bit smaller. So what I'm going to do again is wget it into the directory. All right. So there it is, underscore. I'm going to rename it again. There's a way to rename while you're wgetting, but it's like some like -n it's some argument. But I just preferred moving, I guess. So now we have jQuery and underscore. Next we're going to get Backbone.js. Can anyone guess what Backbone.js is? No, not really. Okay. This is going to get a bit complicated. So does everyone have jQuery and underscore? _js.org. It's not very difficult. Underscore. Do you want to read the description? It's a utility belt library for JavaScript that provides a lot of functional programming support that you would expect in Prototype.js or Ruby, but without extending any built-in JavaScript objects. So just a huge collection of arguments. Oh, awesome. They give you a link to Backbone.js's page. Anyway, so when you click Backbone.js or you go to backbonejs.org, it takes you to this website. So Backbone.js is not really a library. It's more of a framework. It's more of, they call it an API, but I don't think of APIs like that. I think of APIs as like web stuff, like floats around in the cloud, blah, blah, blah. So I think of Backbone.js as a framework. Do any of you know what MVC stands for? MVC. M as in Mary, V as in view, C as in controller. Model View Controller, great. What does that mean?
It's like separate your code into different
Great.
different areas.
Good. You separate your code into different areas. So some areas are your models, like your objects. Like for example, a user is a model. You have a user model. Then you have views that render stuff that like show you the pretty HTML or whatever. Like your home page is a view, your user's profile page is a view. And then you have controllers that pretty much link the two. And so whenever the user wants to go here, the controller is like, oh, so that means we need to render this user's profile page. And it says, we grab this user, we grab this view for the profile page, and then we put whatever the user's like attributes are into the profile. So that's pretty much Model View Controller. Model View Controller is a very nice framework. It allows you to separate code into multiple directories, multiple files. It allows you to separate your logic. Why is that good? Why is separating your logic into like these three areas good? Stephanie. I know. Nobody did, so someone has to answer. Hmm? Why? It's easier to read. Good. Yeah, it makes your code a lot easier to read. Separating, you read the models, and you read the views, and you read the controllers. Sure. That's exactly why we're using it. Okay, so Backbone.js is a model view control, not really a model view controller, but it's a model view collection framework for JavaScript. It allows you to, collections are more like arrays, so they're arrays of models. So collections are an abstraction over arrays. So we're gonna have a collection of to-dos. Aha, and we're gonna have a to-do model. And we're gonna have a to-do view that renders a to-do model. Yay. Aren't we all excited? Okay, so now let's download this library. Again, we hit production version. We have this URL. I'm going to wget it. You can just control S it. I really like wget for some reason. Okay. I'm going to rename it to backbone.js. So there are my 3 libraries. We're actually going to get one tiny one more, but that's no big deal. It doesn't matter. Actually, I think it'd be better if you didn't get the minified ones, because like when it threw an error, it would show you exactly which line it would throw the error. But if you got the minified version, it would run faster, but it would just say error on line 1, and like the whole code is line 1. Get it? Because it's been minified. No, but really, like all these codes, if you run however many lines they have like 5 lines, 4 lines, and the top 4 lines are just like the author's names and like the company they work for and like the website. And the 4th line is like all of it. Like, blah. It's the longest string. Actually, I've written a longer string. No, I haven't. Okay, so one last library, handlebars. Handlebarsjs.com. This is a .com, not .org. I don't know why, but I guess because they sell t-shirts or something. But Handlebars is a nice templating library. It allows you to create JavaScript templates, which are going to be used for our views, because our views render templates. Isn't that great? Isn't it all making sense now? You have a to-do view that renders a to-do template. Yay! Okay. I'm glad it's all making sense. There's an awesome orange download button that you click, and apparently they don't have a minified version, so we're just going to stick with it and hope for the best. See? wget it again. As a oh, there it is. Let's move it to handlebars.js. And there are the 4 libraries we're going to be using. Actually, there's going to be one more. Damn it. Isn't JavaScript great? Thing is, like, after all these libraries, we're just going to have to write like 5 lines of code and like, it's done. Actually, like 20. Anyway, one last library is the local storage library for Backbone. So there's no easy way to get to this except for Googling Backbone local storage, and it's the first link there. The thing about our to-do list app is whenever a user opens opens up our app right here, the page refreshes, right? So like it's technically like you're refreshing the page. But the thing is, we don't want our to-dos that we've just created to be completely gone. We want them to persist. Persist. It's a big word in computer science. Persist means to stay there forever, never until someone deletes them. So we want the to-dos to persist. And the way that we get them to persist is to store them in local storage. So local storage, every HTML5 capable browser has local storage now, except maybe like IE9. It's not funny. Okay. I'm not. It's true. It's sad, but it's true. Anyway, I cry over it when I go to bed. Anyway, so local storage is pretty much just storage on your computer. So like if you pop up a Chrome console, you can check what's in your local storage right now. It's a global object that websites can reference. And right now I apparently have nothing in my local storage, but some apps can store things in my local storage. Like for example, yeah, I didn't know that. That's interesting. Oh, there it is. Oh, apparently plus.google stored this in my local storage, right? That's cool. Thank you. Well, the more you know. We're going to be using that. What's your name? I'm just gonna call you Phil. I'm sorry. Anyway, that Phil taught me a new thing today. Olifian? Oh, Phil. Could you spell it? O-F-E-R? Offer? Okay, offer. Okay. We're going to be using the resources tab. Anyway, so that's what's saved in our local storage. And there's actually a really amazing adapter, this Backbone local storage adapter, that allows us to save our to-dos into Chrome's local storage. Okay, so the thing about downloading this is it's a bit involved, so try to follow along. There's a Downloads tab right here. Wiggle, wiggle. The thing about it is it gives you a zip file, which is annoying, but like there's no way to strictly download the source, so I don't even know where this is going, but apparently I downloaded the zip file. So what I'm gonna do is unzip it and try to dump it into this directory. So there's an unzip command, how convenient, and hopefully it's in downloads. Backbone, yes, it's right here. So I'm gonna unzip it to here. The dot means here, this current directory, anyone was wondering. Apparently not. You just call unzip and you give it the file name, and it unzips it in the current directory that you're in. So it unzipped all this annoying stuff, but all we really need from here is just one file called backbone.localstorage.js. So we just need this one file, and then we dump it into here, and you can see it's right here. And now we can delete this entire folder. Was that involved? Was that? What I could do is technically I can post backbone.localstorage.js up on like my ENIAC server, I guess. But I feel like sooner or later you're gonna have to download an annoying zip file from GitHub. For example, if you ever use Twitter Bootstrap, I feel like the easiest way is just to download the zip file, and then once you download the zip file, it goes to your downloads directory or wherever you saved it, and you just unzip it. And then you extract like the CSS or the JavaScript or whatever you need from it. Okay, so does everyone have backbone.localstorage.js? Hopefully, maybe. So now these are the five libraries we're going to be using. To recap, the first one we downloaded was jQuery. jQuery used by like 75% of the websites in like the universe. The only ones that aren't using it are GeoCities. It's a joke. Even they're using it. No. jQuery is a JavaScript library that allows you to manipulate the web page itself very simply. So for example, if we go to, let's see what web page, just go to jQuery.com. I'm sure they have jQuery loaded in to their console. So you open up your Chrome console. The way to do that is you right click, you click inspect element, you click the console tab. You can grab any element you want by doing $. Let's grab the body, so that's the body. We can get the HTML of the body, so that's all the HTML that exists on this page. We can get specific elements, such as let's try to get this logo. So it's JQ site logo. We're going to be grabbing that by ID. So JQ site logo. Oh, apparently that does not exist. I misspelled something. Oh, logo has a capital L. Oh, sorry. JQ. What is it? Capital L. Jesus Christ. So there's the logo. We can grab the HTML of the logo. It's a nice, apparently that's the image that they're using. It's just a nice wrapper around DOM. Usually what you would have to do would be document.getElement by ID. Then you would pass in JQ-site logo, and if you misspelled it, it would like curse at you, and it would actually get the same thing. But I feel like this is a lot nicer than whatever it is they're giving us. Yeah. I much prefer jQuery. jQuery also gives you other functions, such as like you can over each like row in a table, you can like append a new row to the table, and you can append to the DOM. You can do anything you want to the DOM. So if we want to append to the logo, we just do .append hello, and what do you know? Hello has been appended to the logo, and it's pretty simple. You can manipulate web pages. You can tell your friends that you hacked their Facebook by like manipulating the DOM and like showing that they posted like I'm gay status or I'm straight status or whatever. I don't know what you kids are into. No. So jQuery allows you to manipulate the DOM, and the reason we need this is so that when we're rendering templates, we know exactly where to render them and exactly how to render them. And jQuery makes that very simple. Okay, so that was jQuery. Underscore JS just gives us good, like very easy functions. I can actually show you an example on the underscore page. So if we go to underscore, and this is what I meant by this is more like a JavaScript tech talk than like Chrome extensions. Anyway, so let's create a list, like 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's filter this list. We want to filter the list and only get elements, only if the elements are even. So if their mod 2 is 0, and there we go. That filters the list for us. Magic. Normally in JavaScript, what we would have to do would be iterate over every single element, check if it's modded by 2, it would be 0, spit it out if it is, add it to a new list. This makes it a lot easier and a lot simpler. There's also other functions. You can do like underscore dot first, and that grabs the first element. Underscore dot last gets the last element. What's up? Yep. Is that better? Yeah, if you want to play around with these, you just load them up into your JavaScript console. You can go to underscorejs.org. It has underscore. Some sites don't. It's becoming more popular. Underscore is like it's developed frame. It's very nice. It's on like version 1.4.2. I don't know why I said that, but it's cool. I've been using it since like 0.9.1. No, not really. I don't know. But yeah, so underscore is just a utilities library. It gives you a lot of nice functions you can play around with. Now onto Backbone. Backbone is, again, model view controller, more or less. We're going to have a to-dos model. We're going to have a to-dos view. We're going to have a to-do list collection that's a collection of to-do models. It's going to get pretty involved. So we'll see how you guys keep up. Handlebars is just for templates, so that our templates are compiled and our templates are rendered nicely. And jQuery is going to show the handlebar templates where to be rendered, and handlebar is just going to spit out a rendered template. Rendered templates are just HTML, so it's going to be like, for to-do, it's just going to be like an A tag with like the name of the to-do and like a delete button or something, and like a checkbox to see whether it's done or not, as we saw on that one site. Okay. I think we're ready. Does everyone have the 5 libraries, or 4 libraries, 1 framework open? So now we're going to edit our to-do.html, and we're actually going to link all the JavaScript that we just wrote into to-do.html. So to remind you, the 2 JavaScripts, the 5 JavaScripts are Backbone, handlebars, underscore, backbone.local storage, and jQuery. So let's open up to-do. Let's start typing. First we specify the doc type, make it HTML. HTML doc type. That's the new doc type all the cool kids are using. We specify HTML, just a small HTML page. The head, that's where we're going to dump all of our JavaScript into, and the body tag. So now let's dump that in. Let's do script source equals js/lib/jQuery. Let's close that. Script source And just load every library. You do want to load them one by one because the order matters. Some of them depend on one another. For example, Backbone depends on both underscore and jQuery. So we're going to want to load Backbone last. And actually, there's the Backbone local storage library, which depends on Backbone. So in case you guys didn't catch that, I think it's backbone.local storage with a capital S.js. We're gonna check that all these are linked up once we finish it up. There's also a handlebars one. I put it after the jQuery because it doesn't depend on anything. Handlebars.js. The reason I renamed them is so that naming this would be more or less easy. And there are 5 libraries. So now we save this page. Let's git add everything. Sure thing, wait up. You want to see the page again? It's just all the libraries that we created. Like all the libraries we downloaded, all the 5 libraries we downloaded: jQuery, handlebars underscore backbone, and the local storage library. That allows us to save to local storage very easily. Awesome or awesome? Oh, I like. Huh? Huh? I just pushed it onto GitHub less than 30 seconds ago. Where?
There.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Now let's check that our Chrome extension loaded everything properly. So we go to extensions, we reload the extension, there it is. We right click on the extension and we click inspect. Wait, can we? Oh damn, that sucks. Why can't we inspect it? Oh, maybe you have to click on it and then inspect it? Yeah, you click on it and then you right click on this that pops up and then you click inspect element. Oh god. And you hit console and there are no errors. That's good. So now backbone, good, everything works. Everything seems to have linked properly. So now we have all these nice libraries. We have the jQuery library. So this would grab the body. There's nothing in the body. Let's grab the head. All of our JavaScript's in the head. So now we can play around with our empty Chrome extension. They don't have everything loading more or less. So it should still be empty. It should just have all the libraries loaded in. So in elements, Jesus Christ, how do I, can't. It should just have all the libraries right here. The body's still empty as we specified, and all these have sources. Okay. Now let's write some CoffeeScript. Ofer, what's up with your friend? Is he good? Okay, so the annoying thing about CoffeeScript is that more or less every time you save a file, you would have to compile it again and then link it back up. But the thing is, CoffeeScript, the command, allows you to do that really nice and simply. So if we were just to run coffee-o for output JS, -c for compile, and then specify a folder where our coffee scripts are, like let's say coffee scripts. What that would do is it would look for all the CoffeeScript files in CoffeeScripts and it would compile them into the JavaScript directory. So now let's make the CoffeeScripts directory where we're going to have all our CoffeeScript, and then compile it. Nothing there. Good. No errors. Great. So now Let's actually create our first coffee file. Touch CoffeeScript to do .coffee. Make sure you specify .coffee, or else the CoffeeScript compiler won't pick it up. So we're going to create a CoffeeScript file called to do .coffee, and then we're going to compile it. So let's compile it, and the way to compile it is like this. Now if we look into our JS file, there's the CoffeeScript file that's just been compiled by the CoffeeScript compiler. And if we open it up, if we open the file, all it should say in there is that it was generated by the CoffeeScript compiler number 1.4.0, and it gives you some like base code. That's just an empty function, and what that does is it calls itself, and the empty function calling itself does nothing. So there we go. So we just compiled our very first CoffeeScript file. What's up? Same way, you should have the coffee command. When you npm installed, it should have added the coffee command to your path, and you should have the coffee command. The same way you were running the console, coffee is just the command you run in your terminal. Like coffee, that's just the interpreter, and this invokes the compiler. And those are just options that you specify. The -O is for output, JS is the output folder, -C is for compile. CoffeeScript is where the source of the CoffeeScript is. How's Ubuntu going? Darren, how's your friend? Yeah? Cool, cool. Yeah, I developed this on Ubuntu, and then I supported it over to Mac. So now we compiled our first CoffeeScript file. Now the cool thing about the CoffeeScript compiler is you can set it so that it compiles indefinitely. So it watches for changes, and then it will compile upon changes. And all that is adding a W option for watch. So when you hit that, all that does is it just compiles your JavaScript, compiles your CoffeeScript every time you save. So we never have to worry about it again. It's an empty file. I just touched it. I created an empty file. That's the CoffeeScript compiler automatically creates this file, and it automatically prepends like that. Like CoffeeScript compiler just does that. It just prepends generated by CoffeeScript because they want the trademark. For all your JavaScript files, yes, because they were generated by CoffeeScript. So the way you just compile it, so this line would also generate it. You see it? This line compiles all your CoffeeScript. So if you want to compile like not directories, files, you can compile files, and that compiles. Oh, apparently the output directory has to be a directory. So you just go like this, and it will compile that file, and it will compile it into the JS directory. Awesome.
Hey, Jeff, what's in your JS lib?
My JS lib, all my JavaScript. What's going wrong? Does she have? Is it path errors? Like, can she not run? Did she link it up wrong? Maybe she used like absolute paths or something. Did she put like a slash somewhere?
No, I think it's fine.
Okay. Anyway, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna have the compiler be running in the background. Right here, it's gonna be running in the background, and it's gonna be compiling every time I save. And I'm gonna open up a new tab in my bash, and I'm gonna be programming from here, so I never have to worry about saving things. So let's open up the to-do.coffee file and start hacking. Ready? Steve, you got your CoffeeScript compiler in the background running? Awesome. It's in CoffeeScript/to-do.coffee. Or at least you should have a directory where you have your CoffeeScript. And then, whatever. Okay, so now let's write up some JavaScript. First, we're not going to write up any backbone just yet. We're just going to make sure that we can link this file that we're going to write ourselves up with the DOM, up with the R extension. So for now, what we're going to do is, yeah. How would there be? It's an empty file. It's like, yeah. I didn't write that. Like it was.
No, but it's not a method.
Is it generating file? You just put the W, the -W option. So you should have a compiler running in the background, compiling your CoffeeScript right here. And right now we're going to be editing the CoffeeScript file itself. So that's right here. So let's jQuery has this nice method that runs only once the DOM has been loaded, so only once our Chrome extension has been loaded. And what that is just 4 characters. It's a $, a space, an arrow to indicate that we're writing a function, and an arrow, or dash arrow. So whatever we type in here will only execute once the DOM has been loaded. So let's write something in here. So the first thing we should write is a console.log. Then let's write loaded. And you notice how I'm not using any parentheses around my console.log. So if I wanted to, I could do this, and it would have the same exact effect. But just to keep you guys on your toes, I'll be writing it like that. Okay, so that should execute once the DOM is loaded. You should become familiar with the console.log command. It's like the most amazing command in the world. It's like alert for pros. Okay, so alert would pop up a little text box saying loaded, but console.logs dumps it into your console. So whatever you put in here will appear in your JavaScript console. Yeah, what's up? It's a space and then an arrow and then like. Is that better? Okay. Okay. So now let's check that this code is compiled. Okay, good. It said that it compiled the CoffeeScript. Now we want to link this JS file into our DOM, into our main to-do.html page. So let's open that up, to-do.html, and let's put that at the very bottom. So script source equals js/to-do.js. See, we're linking the JS file. We're linking the already compiled JS file because browsers can't execute CoffeeScript, or at least not yet. The Chrome's V8 engine only accepts JavaScript, and so we're linking all the JavaScript files. Okay? So we just linked the file that we just wrote, and all that does is once our extension is loaded, it's going to spit out to the console that it's been loaded. So let's see how that goes. Let's reload our Chrome extension. Let's click on it. It seems to be working. Inspect element. Check the console. And there it is. It loaded. Console is a tab. It should be right here. It should be one of these tabs. The only reason I'm like clicking this weird like arrow thing over here is because it's not letting me see all my options, I guess. Anyway, so there it is. And you can, if you click here, you can see where this log happened, and this log happened right here, where we console.log loaded. And this is the code that CoffeeScript generates for you. Okay?
Can you push the GitHub?
Sure. I shouldn't be pushing the JS files because those should be compiled manually. Or also cause merge conflicts or something. No, you shouldn't. You should not push files that you You should not push files that you compiled yourself. I should push the libraries. That's why I put them in their own directories. But I shouldn't push the JS files that we compiled, like to-do.js that we compiled with the CoffeeScript compiler. It should not be pushed. So for future reference, if you guys use CoffeeScript in one of your projects, don't push your compiled CoffeeScript code, or else your partners would get mad at you because they just did a lot of errors, and it's not your fault and it's not their fault, but it's someone's fault. So I'm gonna add the git ignore. Okay. So now our CoffeeScript's up on GitHub, and the only thing that's in our CoffeeScripts is that. Cat's actually a really nice command that just prints out whatever is in the file. It's actually short for concatenation, if anyone of you are interested, because it can concat two files together. But if you can cat a file with nothing, it just prints the file. There's also tac. I don't know if tac comes with. No. So tac prints out the file backwards because tac is cat backwards. It's fun if it's useful if you need to know what's at the end of the file. So like if you have like a whole bunch of logs and they're organized like oldest to newest for whatever reason, and you want to know the newest, because actually it's actually a good reason because the logs are always appended at the end. So the newer logs get appended at the end, and you want to know what the newest log is, you tack it. Or you can tail it, or you can do anything. The world is yours. Okay, have we all written our first 2 lines of CoffeeScript? Now it's going to get a lot crazier. So what did I say we needed to write our to-do list application? We needed a model, right? What is a model? What is a model? Can someone explain what a model is? In MVC, what is a model? A database, sort of. More abstractly. Models are saved to the database. Like our models are going to be saved to local storage. Sure. They're objects, right? Good. They're objects. They're like, we're going to have a to-do model. It's just going to be a model with some attributes. Like it's going to have, what should our to-do model have? What attributes should it have? ID? Nah, we don't really need ID. We're not going to grab. Okay, watch out. Actually, Backbone gives us IDs for free, so we don't have to worry about IDs. Anyway, ID, yes. Description, good. And status, whether it's done or not. Good. So title, I'd say. Description's too long. Like just the title and the status. So let's write that. We're going to write a class called to-do, and this class is going to extend the Backbone model. So when we imported Backbone, we have a default model called Backbone model that gives us a lot of niceties. And this is CoffeeScript syntax for creating classes. You can't see it? Oh, let me change the theme. Yeah, good idea, guys. Tell me what you can and cannot see. 256. Yeah. Is that no? Yeah? I have like a lot of themes. Let's try. Looks exactly the same. No? Wait, I think I forgot what the theme was. Yeah, I think it was 3D glasses. Yeah, is that better? Thank you. Okay, let me edit my vimrc. Jesus Christ. Yeah. If you guys aren't using Vim, you should. Just because you can have themes such as 3D glasses. Anyway, so now we're creating our first class. Let's hope this theme's pretty. So our class is going to have a hash called defaults. So technically, you would need braces. I'm going to put braces for now, and then we're going to delete them. So let's give it a default title, like empty to do, and status done, and let's say it's false at first, right? Does that make sense? So whenever we first create a to-do, it will have this. Whenever we create a to-do with no options, it will have the title empty to-do, and it will have a done status done false. Because when you create one, we assume that you haven't finished it yet, or else you would not have created it. Tautology. You know what tautology is? Tautology is tautology. Okay. Huh? Logic, what? Whatever. Okay, so this is our class. This is pretty much more or less all we need in our model.
I think it's almost
good. I mean, it's always true. Okay, so now let's get rid of these braces because this is CoffeeScript here, so that's what our object looks like. Doesn't that make it a lot prettier? Make sure you keep the white space. The only reason you can tell what is because of the white space. All of my, like, each of these this is 2 spaces, this is 2 spaces, this is 2 spaces. Like, make sure your white space is consistent. That's the only way CoffeeScript can tell like what's going down, or else it's going to start throwing errors. So it's it compiled, good, right here. Let's run it, give it a test run. So we reload our to-do list. Actually, you might not even have to reload it because just JavaScript. We inspect the element again to check for errors. Yep, no errors, no errors. That's good. I forgot to do one thing. So the thing about CoffeeScript is, do you know whenever you create a JavaScript variable, most of the times if you don't prepend it with var, when you don't do var then variable name, it dumps it into the global scope. So right now, the only things we have in our global scope are the libraries that we imported. So for example, handlebars is in the global scope, backbone is in the local scope. Underscore is in the local scope. Underscore is just underscore. jQuery, which is $, is also in the global scope. Sorry, and the to-do that we created is not in the local scope. In the global scope. So what we want to do is, if we want to play around with the to-do model, we want to force it into the global scope in order for us to create to-dos like on our own and like see what's going on behind the hood, whatever. So the way to do that is in here, when you declare the class, just put window.todo. Window is the global window object in the DOM. And if you do window.todo, it forces it to append it to the window. It forces it to become global. So right now, let's hope our CoffeeScript compiled. Let's check the compilation. Good, it compiled. Now we just open up the console again. And we go to the console tab. We hit to do. And there it is. We have a to do global object. So now let's create a couple of to-dos. Say to do 1 equals new to do object. So here we're creating a new to do. Let's get its title. Let's get its status. Oh, I meant to say get its whether it's done or not. There it is. So we just instantiated an object, to-do object. So to-do 1 is just one to-do list that we will render once we have our rendering code and whatnot. Awesome. So now we want to add some methods to the to-do object. Like whenever for example, whenever someone completes a task, what do we want to do? Whenever they check a checkbox, what would we want to do? We want to flip the status, right? And you don't want to always be doing like to do 1 dot set and then like done and then like not true or like not false and then like to do the get done and then it's true. You don't want to like keep setting and like unsetting. What you want to do is you want to have a method and then you want to call that method and then it will toggle it. False, true, true, false. So let's write that. That looks exactly like this. Let's call this the toggle method. Let's give a bit of space between these methods. And this is a function. So notice the function syntax that I'm using right up there. And what that's going to do is it's going to get. Another thing in JavaScript is that in CoffeeScript is that the @ symbol is the same as this. So right now I'm going to write it with this because I'm referencing the current model. So it'll be this dot get. Actually, it'll be this dot set done, and then what you pass in is this dot get done, and then you would just flip it. So right here, you would flip it. But since we're writing CoffeeScript, what we're going to do first is we're going to remove these parentheses. We're also going to remove these parentheses. And we're going to remove the this dot and just use @ which is a lot nicer because it simplifies our code a bit. So we're going to be using @get. So whenever we call .toggle on to do, we're going to be toggling it's done. So whenever we're going to have checkboxes, whenever they click, it's going to get toggled. Whenever they click, it's going to get toggled. Toggle, toggle, toggle. Yeah, you can, but I feel like it'd look nicer because if you can, but this looks like there's 3 arguments. Like the done is an argument, then like get is an argument, and done is again an argument, which is not what you want. What you want is this. This, that. Okay. Let's make sure this code compiled, which it should have. Awesome. Oh, no, that was a while ago. So compiled. Let's create another to-do object. Let's make sure this thing's going. So to-do 1, we should just call this 2, new to-do, t.get done. This should be false because we just created one. So now let's toggle this thing. And now we grab its done again. And it's true. Awesome. Just like we wanted. So now there's a nice interface to interact with this object. You can just toggle it, and then you can get its different attributes that it has. So that's pretty much the only method we need in this object. You can create more methods, such as like grabbing how many how many vowels are in the title. We can grab we can do all kinds of it, but it has to be specific to the to-do model. So the to-do model is very simple. We're just saving a title. We're just saving we're just saving a title, and we're saving a done status, whether it's done or not. So now let's create a to-do with a title that's not empty to-do. And the way to do that is just to pass in a JSON with the properties that we want. So let's create a new to-do. So we do f equals new to-do. And inside this constructor, we're just going to pass title and then finish talk. And then when we get the title, it should be finish talk. And that's how you, the cool thing about Backbone is that it sets all these properties for you. You have the defaults, and if you don't pass in anything, it just goes to the defaults. So for example, it went with the default done status. See that? But we could have also passed done in if we really wanted to, which we probably wouldn't because nobody creates to-dos that are already done. Anyway, so you can pass in a JSON into the constructor. So the thing that we just passed in right here, we passed that in, and I created a to-do with that title, which is what we're going to be doing. We're going to have a little input box. They're going to type into the input box the to-do. They push enter. They hit a button or something. It creates the to-do with whatever title they specified, because we don't want to create empty to-dos because we want to-dos that are meaningful. Okay? So once we have like 20 to-dos, right now we have 2 to-dos. We have, Jesus Christ, to-do is really annoying to say. So we have, do we have water? We have 2 to-dos. How do we collect them? What do we need? What data type would you use if you were programming Java or Haskell? Huh? A vector, good. What is a vector in abstract terms? An array, good. So we're going to need some sort of array to abstract away grabbing each of them individually, because we're going to have 20 to-dos or 5 to-dos or however many to-dos. Okay? So the equivalent in Backbone is collections. Collections are vectors or arrays. Thank you so much. That's a lot of water. Should not put it on there. So collections are arrays with special methods. Awesome. So let's create a to-do list collection, right? That seems logical. So we're going to create a new class. Let's make it global again so that we can play around with it in the console. I think that's the best part about JavaScript, is that you can play around with the console very often. I think I should push this. That's actually like what you can play around with the console, make sure your code checks out, make sure things are going right. Let's push this code right now. Oh Jesus, I hate commits can't have exclamation marks for some reason. Oh fuck. I hate swap files. Oh, whatever. Anyway, so we have this collection, to-do list collection, right? So we have to give it the model that it's going to be collecting. What is it a collection of? It's a collection of to-dos. So we give it the name of the model. So the name of the model is window.todo, but since it's a global, we can just give it to-do. Usually you'd want to like namespace your collection, so it'd be like my app.todo or something, and then here you would specify my app.todo, but we're just going to make it all global. We don't care about namespacing. So here's actually the cool part where we get to use local storage. And it's like, I was actually amazed by how easy this was. I was hacking on this like 5 minutes before I was supposed to present on it. No, I'm just kidding, like half an hour. Anyway, so all you do is you just type in backbone.local storage and you give it like the name of like the key to use in the key value store in local storage, and it just like syncs it for you like amazing. Like we'll test this out definitely. I don't know if I got the syntax right, and the cool thing about this is that the docs are right here where we downloaded this backbone.local storage app, and it tells me to just, oh, I missed the new, and like all we need is just this tiny piece of code and it would persist all of our collections. Awesome. Let's put that in. Okay, so now we have a collection of to-dos. Let's hope that compiled. Awesome. Compiled. Let's load it up. Right here. We inspect it again, and then we're going to play around with the console. Like, the console is the best. Let's check that it exists. To-do list. It exists. Awesome. So now let's create a new to-do list. To-dos equals new to-do list. Blah. We can get the length of this to-do list. 0. Good. We can get the models. This is what I'm saying. It's like an array with like extra things. We can get the models of this to-do list, which just spits out everything here. We can get. Actually, the cool thing about it is we can run any underscore method on this to-do list. Like on a collection, we can run any JavaScript, any underscore method. That's the reason we imported underscore, was so that we can have access to these really nice methods. So for example, actually let's add a to-do. Oh, I don't know what that is. Let's add a to-do. Let's create a to-do one. T1 equals new to-do. Let's give it a title. We pass in the title. Finish talk again. I'm not very creative. So we have T1. Right? That's a to-do. Let's add it to the to-dos collection. It's just .add. It's amazing. So now if we get to-dos.length, it should spit out 1. To-dos.models should give us the array of models that we have in there, which is this, which is really cool. We can also add a new to-do. T1 equals new to-do. So this is an empty to-do, so its title would be empty to-do. Let's add that in. Add T1. To-dos.length. Awesome. Now we can do cool stuff. We can do like .each. So for each to-do, what we do is we pass in a function. And like what we could do is just console.log its let's say, oh, what was that? Its title, and that would run it for every single to-do in our list. Oops, I'm missing a print here. There it is. Just for each to-do, it iterates over the to-dos, and it spits out the title of each to-do. We can spit out the status if we wanted to. Both of them are false because none of them are done yet. Great. It says we spit out false twice. The collection is just an abstraction over a model. Over an array. Sorry about that. Good food? Great. Are we going to have any leftovers? I'll take it home. Anyway. So now what we want to do is we want to actually instantiate a to-dos, as we were doing, in our coffee script. So we're going to create a new to-do list right here. And now we're going to bind a view to this to-do list. We're actually going to write some HTML-ish code so that we don't have to look at the console anymore, that we can actually see stuff happening on the view, in the little bubble that we have. So now we're going to switch gears and we're going to write some HTML. Let's open up to-do.html. Right now it's pretty bare in the body, so let's add a couple divs. Let's call this to-do app. Let's close this div. Let's add a header. Oh, the header is gonna, oh Jesus, HTML is annoying to write. Let's add a section with an ID of main, because this is gonna be the main section. Let's add a footer. Let's add things into these sections. Let's give this an input. This is going to have ID new to do. This is where we're going to type in our new to-dos. So type is text. Let's give it a placeholder. What you're going to do. And in our main section, we're going to need an unordered list of to-dos. So let's give this an ID of to-do list. And this is where we're going to render each of our to-dos in this unordered list. The footer can stay empty for now. So this should actually have affected the extension itself. So if we close that, reload the extension. There it is. What you gonna do? Let's add some style rules. It's a bit boring without the style rules. You guys know anything about CSS? So right now this is our to-do.html. All it has is an input box and it has a couple like setup places that we're gonna render stuff. So as you see, remember when we were grabbing things by ID with jQuery? That's the reason I'm adding all these ID attributes. So it's going to be really easy to just grab the ID and render it at that specific part. Like this to-do list is going to be really easy to append to it. You just grab the to-do list by ID and then you just hit dot append. And bingo presto, it appends to-do onto our to-do list. And the footer is our footer, where we're going to keep track of how many to-dos are left, how many to-dos are remaining, how many to-dos like they've cleared, whatever. And I think that's good. Yeah, we should get to writing some of the templates. Okay, so we should write a template for a single to-do, for a single item. So right now we have these directories. We want to make a templates directory where we're going to keep our JavaScript templates that we're going to use for our views, for each of our views. So right now, let's edit a template. Let's call this to-do.handlebars. And in here, all that's going to be in here is just a div. Let's say class equals title, and all that div's going to have is just the title of the to-do. And let's not close this div yet. Let's give it a checkbox. How do you do checkbox input types? I think it's input type checkbox. I don't know. And then close this div. Actually, that's dumb. We should have the checkbox before, so it looks nicer. Let me space out my code a bit. Okay, so we have this div. Divs are the best. Input type equals checkbox. So this will be for a single to-do. This is what we're going to render. Oh, we should also render a delete button. Class equals delete. Actually, we should, instead of class, let's just make it a button. Okay. So here we have the little checkbox that says whether it's done or not. We're going to have a title. That's going to be the title of the to-do. And then we're going to have a delete button. That's going to delete the to-do once someone clicks on it. All right. So now let's create a view. We're going to create a view that's actually going to render a to-do object, a to-do model. So back in to-do.html, back in CoffeeScripts to-do.coffee, we're going to create a new class called to-do view that extends Backbone's views, which is really nice. And we're going to give it a template, and it's going to be handle. This is where we're going to actually use handlebars.templates.todo, because it's a single to-do list. So we dump it into the handlebar template. We're going to give it an initialize method. And all that does is just initialize certain events that happen when someone clicks on. Actually, no, we don't need that. We can actually dump that into an events hash. So the cool thing about Backbone is that you can have an events hash that specifies all the events that you want to happen. So whenever someone clicks on a .destroy, we're going to have a method called clear that clears the to-do. And we're going to have, whenever someone clicks on check, click, oh, we didn't give it a class. We'll give it a class of like .done. Then we'll have toggle to do. So now we need to create these methods. So the only reason I'm putting hashes here is so you can tell that events is a hash. Let's create these methods. Clear, all that does is it clears the model. Actually, it destroys the model. There's a special method that deletes the model. And that would delete the model, and this would delete the view. And on toggle to do, what we'd want to do is just the model that this is linked to, toggle that. So each to-do will have a view, a to-do view that is paired up with it, and that's why we're allowed to simply call this .model and this .model.destroy and this .model.toggle. So that allows us to make it so that each model is connected directly to a view. And we don't need to specify like which model. We don't need to query which to-do was clicked, which to-do was not clicked, which one was destroyed, which one was not destroyed, which one's done, which one's not done. Actually, we should create an initialize method. Initialize is a special method in Backbone that is called in the constructor, so when an object is created. And what we want to do is we want to bind events. So whenever anything happens to the model, we're going to re-render the view. So this is the same as doing this. Actually, we should do this, because we're going to pass 3 arguments. So the 3 arguments we pass in is what change we're going to keep track of, what event we're keeping track of, and what function to call, and what to pass in as the this parameter. And what we're passing in is just this itself. And that has to do with JavaScript scoping, which is not very interesting currently. So whenever someone, let's say, I think that's the only event we need to pass. Right. So now we actually need to create a render function that renders this view with our template. Let's do that. So now we just set this .html. Wait, we set the element HTML the element that we're currently working with. We set its HTML to this .template, and we pass in the model to JSON, which converts the entire model to a JSON object, which makes it a lot easier to work with. So I can show you what toJSON does in a bit, but that's all we really need. And we also need to return the element itself. We need to return the object that we just called. Okay. So that would render a to-do view given a template, the to-do template. We don't know where to render it yet because we haven't specified, because we're going to need an app view, a much higher level view, but this is a simple tiny view. So let's compile the template that we wrote, and then we'll test it out in the command line and see if we can get stuff to render. So the way to compile your templates is you do handlebars, templates, and then the name of the template. Actually, no, you don't even need the name of the template. The directory, then you do -f, js, and then templates.js. Oh. And that's the output. -f in this case is for output. I don't know why. Actually, you can probably do, yeah, -f is for output. Yeah, let me just compile this. Awesome. Go back to where? To do that what? Handlebars? All it is just a view for a single to do. Do.coffee? Sure. And that's right here. All we did was create like the view is where most of the logic happens, all the events happen. So JavaScript is very event driven. So where like when something happens when someone clicks a .destroy, then the model should be destroyed. When someone clicks on done, we should toggle the done. We should toggle the to do. When when anything ever happens to the model, we should re-render the model. And so that's what we're doing here. I'm pushing. And now the last thing we do is you want to link the template. So the way to link the template is to simply link it above here, templates.js, the new compiled templates file that we just created with a handlebars function. So the handlebars function again was it was handlebars. Oh, it was handlebars, then the name of the directory, and then -f for output, then where you want to save the compiled templates. So we want to save them into js/templates, and that I linked js/templates in the HTML. And compile that again. Let's make sure that it's there. It's there. And the compiled template looks a bit ugly. Yeah, it definitely looks ugly, but you can tell right, where's my mouse? Right here that it's created a template called to do. And this template called to do we're actually using in our, we're using that in our view, which is pretty cool. So now let's see if we can get things rendering. See, and this is like all the HTML that we wrote. Anyway, wrote that. Oh, no errors. Wow, that's amazing. So now let's check that the template's actually there. So this is the to-do template right here. Let's pass in a title. And there, it just output exactly what we wanted. So if we pass in a different title into this template, it would give us a different template. So depending on whatever we pass in the view, whatever model we pass, we're gonna have different stuff going on. So now let's actually create to do and try to link it up with a model. Let's create a new to do. Give it a title. Finish homework by tomorrow. So this is a to-do. So now we're going to create a new view equals new to-do view, and we're going to pass in a model. And the model that's going to be passed in is this T model. So now we just linked up the view and the model. So now let's we can call its render method. And what that did was apparently didn't do much. Let's call render.el, and that should have spit out a div with with the title inside. So now let's tell it where to render. Let's tell it to render inside of to-do list. .append view.render.el. Oh, there it is. Great, that's cool. Let's see if we can. No, I don't think we can delete it yet. We can probably toggle. I don't know. No, I don't think that works yet. That's great. What the hell's going on? Okay.
What was the command to compile the template?
It was handlebars. Here, let me put it up. Handlebars, and then the output, the where you saved your template. So I made a new directory called templates, as you can see here. Balls. So I made a new directory called templates where I saved the to-do.handlebars. And the reason I called it to-do.handlebars is because handlebars creates the objects based on your file name. So you see, remember when we linked up in the view, we linked up handlebars.templates.todo. Yeah, that's like we're going to create a new template called app or like main, and then like that's going to be like the footer, and that's going to control most of the flow for like, creating new to-dos. So yeah, we actually got stuff more or less rendering. We just need a more global app view. So that's a command that I don't know why -f is for output, but if you want, Sebastian, if you want, you can do this. Double the dashes, and that does the same thing because when you like man handlebars. Do you have a man installed? Jesus Christ. Whatever. But that does the same. Actually, no, I know. Here. It shows you right here. You can just type in handlebars. It's the same thing. Back to what? Back to this line? So just like when we were compiling the coffee, we specify an input directory and we specify an output. In this case, we specify an output file. Because it compiles all the templates from templates into the output file. So if we had multiple templates, as we will soon, we have a second template, it's still going to be compiled into templates.js, which is nice because then we only have to link it once. Like we only have to link it in the to-do.html, the JS file, we only have to link that once. Let me push this. Or maybe I have pushed this. I guess I added one insertion. Anyway, okay, now let's create a global app view that will actually render the footer and it will render a better template. So first let's create a template for this app view. Let's call this app.handlebars. Just going to be a div, and it's just going to have done, or you have finished, and that number of tasks, however many we pass in, and then this is called app.handlebars. It's going to be a new template in our templates directory. It's just going to have a couple it's going to control our main view, and it's going to control how it shows how many tasks happen, how many tasks there are, and how many tasks there are. We'll just do this for now. This is going to be the main app view. Yeah, so that was Okay. That was enough of that. Let's compile this template again. So we compile it with the same command, compiled. So now let's edit the coffee script to add the app view class. So class window.appView extends backbone view again. We give it a template. This time it's the app template. And let's give some events again. I'm gonna put it in the hash again, but actually no, the hash is already above, so I don't have to. You guys know that it's a hash. Whenever someone clicks whenever someone presses on the new to do, we have an input box. The new input box. Let's create on enter. Let's create this method. And this method, all that does, it would just todos.create. Then it would pass in a title. Right now we don't have a title. Oh, we don't need these, I forgot. There we go, that's better. It will pass in a title. Since we instantiated a to-do list above. Right up here. So whenever someone, actually no, this is wrong. It should only happen if the key code is, if someone only pushes enter. So if e.keycode is 13, 13 is the enter key code, then it should create a to-do. Yeah. Okay. We also need an initialize method right here to initialize some of the objects that we're going to be using. So let's initialize input will be this to do. So the way to grab the title here would be just to do @input.val. Oh, and we should also clear the input. So this is jQuery. jQuery allows us to grab the value of the text field, whatever the text field is. We should also have a footer, and that's just the footer. And then I think that's all we need, just to have a footer. And oh, we should also do some methods on here. Some event bindings. So whenever anything happens to to-dos, we want to re-render. Should dump that in parentheses. And the render method is right here. And all that would do is for every to-do in the collection, it should render the collection. I mean, it should render the single to-do view. There we go. So here we created a new view, and we're going to pass in the model. And then here, it's to-do list dot append view.render.el. So that renders the view, and then it appends it by extracting its element. And we're also going to want to render the footer. So footer.html is going to be the template. And then the way to get how many we've had done, we want to pass in a JSON done, and this should just have todos.done. Since we don't have a method called .done yet, let's add a method. Yeah, okay. So render, that's actually going to be the biggest thing here. So for every single to-do for every to-do that we have in the to-do list, we're going to render each to-do. Oh, and I forgot that we're going to have to fetch the to-dos, so we fetch them here. Yeah, that makes sense. So here's where we fetch the to-dos either from the local storage or from the new to-do that we created. Actually, for now, we'll just pass in 0 into done, so we don't have to write any more methods. So now let's say that we have 0 done, which is true. Let's see if this works. Save that, make sure it compiled. Oh damn, it compiled. Let's close this. Let's reload that just in case shit goes down. Okay, we don't have any to-dos yet. Let's see if there's any errors in the console. We don't. Okay. Hope that did nothing. Let's check the console. That's weird. Do we have a to-dos? Damn, we should have defined it globally. Ugh. Wait up. Let's define to-dos. Oh, I know why. Because we haven't instantiated app view. We need to instantiate app view because that's the view that's going to be rendered when the DOM loads. So the app view would just be there we go. That makes much more sense. Oh, and we should pass in an initial element. So the initial element is to-do app. So that sets the context of the entire application. That sets like where it's going to render everything. The initial EL element. Yep. Just for debugging purposes, let's make this window.todo. Okay, and we just added this line that instantiates a new app view. Make sure all your indentation is correct. So most of these are indented. This is indented once. All these are indented twice. And that is indented once. Let's check that it compiled. Compiled. Let's reload it. Reloaded it. What is that? Oh, okay. Well, that loaded the footer. Awesome. No errors. Great. Holy damn. That did something. Finish homework. Whew. That's wrong. Sort of. Okay. Let's check what we have in local storage. So in local storage we have, that's weird, we only have 2 to-dos, but it rendered like 20 of them. So the reason for that is because somewhere along the line we didn't stop an event from propagating. So it re-rendered the event multiple times. So when we appended right here, when we appended right up here, this line of code, that did not remove the old to-dos. So whenever we added an object right here, it would re-render, right? And what re-render would do, it would just take the to-do view and it would add 8 more. And it would add like 20 more, and it would add more and more and more until it just went off the screen. So the way to stop that is you want to break up the render method into a method called add all, and all that does is it just todos.each add 1 and add 1, which adds only a single to do. So that would be this code right here that adds a single to do, and we just need to properly indent it. There we go. Oh, deleted the wrong line. And this code is no longer needed. And now we just need to figure out when to call add all. So the only time we ever need to call add all is whenever the to-dos is reset. So whenever we reload it from memory, we want to add all the to-dos again. So that should only happen once in the beginning. Right there. And whenever we add, so to-dos.on, I think it's on add, we want to add 1. Because we're only adding adding one new model. I think that's it. Alright. Check that it compiled. Great. Let's reload it. And it, oh, okay, something happened. I think it's throwing errors somewhere. Yeah, there's an error somewhere. Console to do is not defined. That's, oh, what the hell? That's weird. Oh god, that's not a good strategy. On model, where do we define model? Oh, here it is. Okay, so here we actually need to pass in the to-do that we're adding. Oh, that makes sense. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So we are just passing in the to-do, and we pass it in right here. It's pretty much just like Haskell-y, in that we can pass in methods that take to-do and then you link them together. What we could do is just like, to make it, I guess, more obvious for you guys, is to-do and then add 1 to-do. But that is not necessary because you can just chain the methods together. So for each to-do and to-do, we just add 1. And let's see if that works. That should compile. And great, we just loaded the 2 tasks we have going. Let's inspect this. Jesus Christ. Okay, no errors. Wow, that's nice. Let's add a new task. Oh, not again. There it is. Let's do... Oh, look at that. We're adding tasks, and they're persisting. Like if we close this piece of crap, close it, open it again, there are 4 tasks. You can add more, close it, refresh the tasks, and still there. Let's see if deleting works. Probably doesn't. Actually, no. Oh, fuck. Let's see why. Actually, I think I know why. Huh? Oh, shit, yeah, sorry. I think I know why. It's because when we created the app, created the to-do view where the event is bound right here, we bounded on, yeah, we bounded it here. I don't think we gave in the template, we never gave, what the hell? We never gave the template the class destroy. Or did, oh, it's because here we're binding it on destroy and here we have it on delete. Yeah, so right here we had it on destroy and here we had it bound on delete. So now actually it would be pretty cool if we could log things. So it's log that someone clicked this thing, someone clicked destroy. Oh, misspelled clicked. Let's recompile our templates right here. We just changed one of the classes of the templates. Let's reload the JavaScript. Awesome, let's delete things. What do you know? It's just simple typo. Let's add more things. Oh damn. Everything needs to be finished. Go to play practice. Oh, misspelled practice. We could do editing, but I think it's next time. Whew. Okay. Let's explain code. Would that work? Would that help out anything? Who has questions? And I know everyone does. Okay. Can someone explain the to-do view? It's how many lines? It's like 10 lines of code. These are the most interesting 10 lines of code you've ever seen in your life, or what? Okay, so what does the to-do view do? Does anyone know? To-do view. Sebastian? MVC guy?
It's essentially just generating the show.
But what is it rendering the HTML for? Okay, I will make it easier for you. How many to-do views exist here right now? One, right? So whenever we create, a new to-do, we're actually also creating a new to-do view that binds to that to-do. So now we have two. You see that? But the thing is that the views aren't important. The collection is important. Because the collection is like the physical object. So the views simply are like a way for the objects to show themselves, to like views. And the thing about views is that they have events. So we actually never implemented this, and we never implemented that. So we should remove those. So what events are bound to that view, like to that to-do view? The clear event, yeah, destroy event. And what that does is whenever someone clicks on something that has a class destroy, these events are bound with jQuery. So like Backbone just gives us this much nicer syntax. Normally in jQuery it would be this. It would be like you select the .destroy class .on click, and then you'd give it like a function, and then you would here where you would put clear. But the thing is, like, we're going to be doing that a lot because we're going to have a lot of events like clicking done, clicking destroy, that you want, like the creators of JavaScript just wanted you to throw in a hash with like space separated event names, and then the class or ID or whatever, and then a method name right here. So it would call this clear method. And what this clear method does is it destroys the model that was associated with that view. So if like we wanted to make it more explicit, we can call like a clear method. And then in our to-do, right back up here, we would need a clear method. So like clear would be like, and then we can even log like the methods. So like this is getting cleared. We can log the title of whatever we're clearing, and then we can destroy it. Destroy is special syntax. It's a special method that destroys it from the collection. So like if this compiles, so whenever we will click on a view, and whenever we hit destroy, it should log that we're destroying, and then whatever model it's bound to. So here, and then this is getting cleared, finished stuff. This is getting cleared, do not make fun of people. You see that? Like each model is bound specifically to a view. Do you know where we're binding models to views? Let's get rid of that. Do you know where we're binding models to views? Right there, right here. Here's where we pass in the to-do that we're going to bind, and we're just instantiating a new view. And then all we're doing is just rendering this view. And we're passing in whatever model. That's why we're able to call this .model, because we passed this .model right there. And we call add one right here whenever to-dos is reset. So reset is actually a pretty interesting method, because what reset does is it clears the entire to-dos, and then it like dumps whatever was in local storage into it. So like that's what fetch does, and then fetch triggers reset. So we can actually trigger our own custom events. So it would be like .trigger fetched, and then we would have to capture this event, and we could capture it right here. So this would do pretty much the exact same thing. So if we like unfetched, we would like we would add every single to do. It would do the exact same thing. So if we do that, oh yeah, that worked. Okay. Okay. Does that more or less make sense, Sebastian? Ofer? Okay, one last thing before we go. Let's make this have however many tasks you have. Right? You have finished 0 tasks. You just see however many tasks you currently have. And the way to do that is here where we pass 0, instead of 0, we're going to pass todos.length. That's the only thing we're going to change, and it's going to show us however many we have. You have 1 task, you have 2 tasks, you have 3 tasks, 4 tasks, 5 tasks, 4 tasks, 3 tasks, 2 tasks, 1 task. Oh, we're not doing pluralization correctly, but that's because it's hard-coded into our template. So whenever you add tasks, it re-renders. Whenever you add a task, and whenever you delete a task, it also re-renders. That's the event binding that's going on right here. So on anything that ever happens, we're re-rendering. And all that render does is it calls, it just re-renders the footer with the new length that we pass in. Whew. Is that good? More questions? Or have your minds been blown? What's up? So the way we fixed delete was, you see where I was binding events? I was binding events right here, right? This is the to-do view. The to-do view, think of it as like the tiny view that renders just an individual to-do. Right? That's how I try to explain it to everybody. And what I was doing wrong was in the template file, in templates, not app, in the to-do, where is it? There it is. I had the wrong class. Like it was just the typo. Like I had destroy or I had delete before, where I was binding it. Oh, damn it. Where I was binding it on destroy. And all I had to do was change the template to say destroy, or I could have changed that to say delete. And then whenever someone clicked on delete, it would call the clear method, because before it wasn't calling the clear method. And now it is, and now clear is both clearing the model and it's removing the view itself. So this removes the view, and this removes the model from the collection. Actually, we may not even, yeah, no, we need this, or else it won't get removed. Yeah. We can actually bind an event that would re-render the view. Like that would re-render each item once it's been deleted. Like events, you bubble them up from the children views up to the parent views, and so on. Yeah. Oh, more questions? Okay. So whose mind was blown? Other than mine? Okay. Who's confused? Who doesn't want to learn JavaScript ever again? Good. So,
the question I have is, if I wanted to extend this and keep adding to it, what are strategies?
Depend. What do you want? You want an edit, say, right?
Sure.
Where would you put the edit? Is an edit specific, like is it global, or is it only for a single to-do?
Yeah, so I mean, let's say, you're just kind of talking abstractly.
Yeah, totally.
I understand that what my goal is, I want to add edits to each particular to-do.
Okay, that's easy. It's just...
Well, yeah, but what I'm asking is, I kind of see what code you bring here, but I, probably wouldn't be able to come up with it myself. So, what's the strategy I should be using to be able to extend this and move forward without someone speaking at me and being able to...
Okay. So the first thing you usually want to think of is events. So let's say, for example, you want to edit a to-do. You want to edit this to-do. What you want, the way, you could either have an edit button. In that case, you would have a new event in the to-do view. You would have an edit. You would have a click on .edit.
Yeah.
And then you would have a new method that would render a new view, that would render an edit view. and then the edit view, yeah, and then you would just grab whatever the input was there. Or you can have, like, when you double click on a to-do, that would call an edit method, and then that would also be another event. You'd have a double click event in here in the events hash. Then since it's local to the to-dos, it would be in this to-dos hash, because this to-do view is like for each tiny to-do. And if you want to have extend, if you want, for example, the done, whenever someone checks something, you want it to be done, you'd also put it in here because it's also local. So you would put like .check, or like, I don't know what the event is for checking or unchecking, but like whenever someone clicks on a checkbox, you want it, like, it's going to trigger some event, and you want to capture it here, and then you want to call model.toggle, which we have. And for example, if you want to, like, on a larger scale, if you want a way to like export your to-dos or something, you'd probably put that in the app view, and you'd put like an export button on the bottom, and what that would do is just like it would just call to JSON on the entire collection. So it all depends on like what, like, I usually think of it in terms of events, as I was saying. Like, you have your very core models that you want to build first, and like you want to finalize those, like have defaults for your to-dos, have defaults for whatever. You want to finalize those, and then once you finalize your models and your collections, you're going to build on views. Your views are going to have most of your logic. They're going to have like your event logic, what triggers what happens when. It's going to have binding, like when you're binding what view to what model, and like what happens when a model gets reset, what happens when a button gets clicked. For example, like these, the events in the events hash are all DOM events, the events that happen like physically, and like the events that we bound in the initialize methods right here, those are all like more or less abstract events that happen like when the collection itself gets moved around, gets shifted around. Like when someone deletes it, it both deletes it from the collection and from the from the view that the person's seeing. And so that's more global, because that's not like specific to a single. Yeah, no, creating isn't specific. Deleting a single view is specific to a single to-do. For example, here the new to-dos, that we made it like in the app view, because the app view sees more than the to-do view. It's more global. Like it knows about the collection, and it knows about the outer like text box that we had there. If you wanted to make this code look prettier, I mean not the code, the extension look prettier, you'd add some CSS, you'd style it, make it a bit wider. You can give it a bit of color. That's about it. Does that answer your question? Yeah, I think of it in terms of events and like what happened. Like, yeah, because you're pretty much trying to simulate like everything in like one app. That was a good question. Thank you. You have a question? Is that good? Is everyone either confused, not listening, or satisfied? Code's up on GitHub. If you have any questions, feel free to Facebook me or Gchat me. My Gchat's same as my GitHub username. My Facebook's up on CS@Penn. I post a lot there. If one of you isn't on CS@Penn, you should be. Are all of you on CS@Penn? CS@Penn. It's the Facebook group. I'm not logged in. The Facebook group, CS@Penn. Oh, apparently I had logged in before. Sorry, Ayaka. CS@Penn. CS@Penn. And you can just either search for Jeff in the About, or you can look for one of my posts or my comments, or actually you can just go through the event page, and I'm one of the hosts. So feel free to ask me questions if you're too nervous to do so now. And we're done. Food's there. I'm gonna be at the Hack Jam if you wanna start up a Chrome extension. If you wanna just write Backbone, because I feel like this talk was more about Backbone than it was.
This Saturday we're gonna have a hack jam here in First Route Capital.
Yeah.
It's kind of a session where you can hack on something, whether it be a Chrome extension or a web app or something else. So we'll have people who can help you with whatever you're interested in working on. So
Yeah, I'll be there. Just raise your hand and call for Jeff. I have like a pink hat on. Nah. Oh, I should have like one of those construction vests, you know, the orange and like. Okay. Remove that. So,
It was great hearing you.
really good. Thank you for that resources thing. That
Yeah,
that was amazing. I didn't know that.
I'm a Ruby.
I'm just gonna stop the thing recording.
Go ahead. I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
Can you enter your name here?
You can search